Ciao friends, I'm Shelley from Shelley Skincare. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be going over how to wax yourself at home, how to do a DIY wax yourself. Today's video is not a demonstration, but it is preparation for the next video, which will be a demonstration. So today we're going to go over the types of wax that there are out there, the types of materials and supplies you're going to need, and just different basics on how to get yourself ready for that. Okay, I am obviously a professional esthetician. I have all the different things that you could possibly want. Clearly you don't need everything that I have, but I'm going to show you everything so that you can make a decision for yourself as to what you'd like. Just to get started, there are several different types of sticks, like applicator sticks. Here's one. This is a big one. This one is called a large tongue depressor. You've probably seen these. Then we have the infant tongue depressor. It's much smaller, it's skinnier. It's more like a coffee stirrer, but it has mine. I don't like flexible ones. I like stiff ones. We have the wooden spoon. These are very handy. I kind of found this, I ate an ice cream, that's what it was. I ate an ice cream and I saw the stick and I was like, ah, and I searched high and low for them. I finally found them. But what I used to do before that is I used these, they were called chicken bone scissors, and I would cut these at an angle and make those out of one stick. Estheticians are not allowed to double dip, so you have to use one stick per person. If you're going to be waxing yourself, it's going to be up to you whether you want to reuse the stick, but don't want to ever let anyone else use it. And if you've got anything on your skin that's suspicious, like a little rash or something like that, you might not want to re-dip in there, you know? Okay, so those are the three types of sticks primarily for the body. Then we have little sticks that we use for the eyebrow wax. So these are much smaller. These remind me of like an olive stick for a martini. They have the flat head, so if you can get something like that. I have a lot of these supplies already listed on my website. So if you go to my website, I have something called the Amazon storefront, which I was able to create different things. And then I also have my Shop World page, in addition to my skincare, obviously. So then the next tool that I love, these are called the Miss Weebles pads. Now these break apart really easily, so you just need a little bit of cotton when you're doing certain body parts. There's another kind that's like this. You can probably hear that. You cannot break these apart. These are great if you happen to have them or you buy them by accident. They're fine, but I like to cut them and use them in smaller spots. They just don't absorb the wax as well, but what they are really good for is if you have a wax pot spill or an accident at the end, these are my favorite for cleaning that up. You would use your orange solvent, which I found online, Goo Gone, because I use professional orange solvent. There's various types. But I think the one that's closest to what a professional uses is the Goo Gone, so I put that on there. So you would saturate part of this cotton, the thicker one, in Goo Gone, and then remove it from metallic, the floor, things like that. Of course you want to do a test spot to make sure you don't ruin your floor, but typically if you wipe it with the orange solvent and then clean it up with something else after that and don't let it sit, then you're usually fine, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, these pads that I love for the waxing, the body waxing, are called Miss Weebles, or just Weebles now. And I just put those on my storefront so you can find those. These are really nice kind of prep pads that you could use, and I'll show you how to use those later. Then there are several different types of wax. Of course, there's thousands upon thousands of brands of wax, and each one has a little special thing about them. But just the basics here, we have the bead wax. I'm not going to touch these with my hands, but these are beads, if you can see that. These we use to pour into the pot to melt them down. Once they're melted, they look really nice. So this is considered a hard wax. And what happens with a hard wax is it dries. Let's do it on my hand here. It dries into a hard, kind of like a shell-like thing. and then you can press it down and then pull off the hair that way, and you don't need any material like Pellon or muslin, but I will be going over that with you. So we'll just let this dry for a minute. Another thing to note is, I'll show you one more time, the consistency is important for hard wax because you can burn yourself really easily. If my wax starts to fall off faster than this, woo, then you have yourself a problem. So that's when it's really too hot. So this is a good temperature right here. This wouldn't burn my skin at all. So, but it's pretty slow. If it gets too slow, then it won't work. So that's also its own issue. Hard wax also, which is the bead wax again, hard wax also, some people think that it doesn't hurt as much on the skin, but I have done a lot of double-blind tests and find that they're pretty much the same in pain. That's just what I found. So now this is ready. You just give it a little press and voila, and it pulls off the hair and it just looks like this. Then we have a soft wax, and I have two types of soft wax. I like to use a soft wax that has cream for the face, and then for the rest of the body I'll use more of a, I say honey loosely. It's not really made of honey, but it's a loose term just to describe the consistency, or gel, if you will. I'm cutting a piece of Pellon here so you can see. All right. This is more of a gel, like honey material. I just don't want it to fall. This again is a really good consistency. It's not too runny. If it's runnier than this, then you can risk something. So I'll just show you what that looks like on the skin. Of course, this is really thick. I'm not doing it for real, but that just gives you a clue as to what it looks like. Then you have your cream-based soft wax. This is just very nice for face waxing. It's a little too much. It doesn't have enough, like I don't like to use it for large areas because it's kind of too creamy and it just doesn't have a good spreadability, if you will. So for eyebrows, of course, you have to be even more careful because this is a very sensitive area here. So you just put it on. That's what it looks like. It's just completely different in consistency. See that? And you can tell that there's cream in there. So we've gone over the three types of wax. Of course, there's different brands and things like that. I put those on my website as well. Some of them. You can't get the professional ones as easily, obviously, as I can, but I put the ones that I thought were like the best. I also tried to make sure that I put the right size of can versus the size of pot. Okay, so this is a 400 ml can, and then there's also 500 ml cans. And you just have to make sure that you can pull your can in and out of your pot easily. So when you are ordering it, just make sure that the wax pot that you purchase can fit, because the circle inside, the round part inside, if the can's too wide, then you can't like shove it in there, and then you're gonna have problems. That's something to consider. Now, because I have wax on my fingers, I use a sweet almond oil as my oil remover for my skin. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that on my fingertips. And then I'm going to use my cotton pad to kind of remove that excess oil and wax from my fingers. Next, I think scissors are in order, especially if you're going to be using Pellon and muslin. Okay, the difference between that is muslin is like a sheet. It's a woven sheet. You could even use an old sheet, but it's very like scrunchable. I usually use this for eyebrow waxing. So for my eyebrows, I usually cut them into very thin strips like this. They're perfect for eyebrows. And for like the lip area and stuff like that. And that's when I would use my little stick. For regular body waxing, however, I like to use Pellon. And Pellon, I cut these strips myself. You can get them pre-cut. A lot of times they come pre-cut, but it comes in a giant roll, usually like this, and it's very hard. It's different. It's not woven. It's called non-woven, and it's just compressed cotton. Like you can't really tear it apart, and I don't know if you can see the difference, but it just kind of looks like a soft paper. sort of like a vellum, if you will. So I cut those, and I also cut them in half once again, so I have two sizes. This size would be for maybe an underarm. Sometimes I even cut them in half so it looks like this for an underarm, much shorter, because you don't have a lot of surface space here. The other thing I use that for is the Brazilian and for tight spots in the bikini area. Otherwise I use a full size Pelon when I do like leg waxing, arm waxing, things like that, back waxing, stuff like that. So that is your non-sugar type of wax. Then the next thing, if you feel like it, you probably don't need to have this, but I use these covers for my wax pot because I get really messy. I like to use these covers to protect my pot from the ring, to protect the wax from drizzling down into my pot. So I replace those just about like every hour, really. There's two types of things here. One is a table paper, which I put on my site. This is a very thin paper, and you want to put it everywhere because you're going to drizzle. Just from me turning around from the pot and bringing the wax over, there's usually like a little string or strands. It feels like little angel hairs touching your skin. But this will protect your shoes, your floor, it'll protect your vanity. Wherever you're waxing, you just want to lay this out all over the place so that you don't mess anything up. The other alternative to that is called a table paper covering. I think I put these on, but these usually you have to buy in a box of 100, so it's a lot. You probably don't need 100 of these unless there's some reason. If you have a friend who's a nurse and maybe they can buy you or lend you or share a box with you, but these are pretty long and you could cut them up however you need to configure them, but these are really good too. The only thing I don't love about these is that they shred. Sometimes they're 2-ply, and if you did get a little bit of wax on there, then it would just go and create a hole, and then you've got all these little holes all over the place. Whereas the table paper roll doesn't really do that. So I like these better. They're just noisier, but we can get into two of my products, of course. So Adios is a toner that works really well for example, you tend to break out after a waxing. You would use the Adios on your upper part of your eyebrow to prevent that. It has glycolic and salicylic acid in it. Also, if you were going to do a back wax or bikini wax where you would normally get ingrown hairs, irritation, things like that, and underarms, this would be your post-waxing product. And then also to prevent ingrown hairs, you would want to use this on a regular basis. Then the other thing is the Cherry O. Cherry O is a nice soothing balm. This I use just like the tip of this little baby stick. Just the tip of that baby stick, and I put it right around my eyebrows where I'm going to be waxing. And it just gives a little bit of a nourishing, creamy feel to the area so that when you pull the wax off, it's a natural anti-inflammatory, so when you pull the wax off, it doesn't hurt quite as bad. It's not a numbing cream or anything like that, but it just makes the skin feel better and not get as red. You're going to get red, but you're not going to get as red with that. Also, it limits the tearing. So if somebody did come in with Retin-A and they were like, you know, either not telling me or, you know, telling me the truth, people do that all the time. This would really help them not tear, especially if their skin is drier. Cherry O will be kind of a like a skin soothing savior. The next thing you want to think about are, when you're an esthetician, you probably have lots of these. I have lots of kits. This is the kit. I have my scissors, which you might have seen some in the DIY waxing video I did before, but I like these scissors for eyebrows. Comb. Special comb, and check out my video on DIY eyebrow waxing because that one's really important. And then I have a couple different types of tweezers. So this one is my favorite. This one's hard to use, so I don't know if I really recommend this one for everybody, but the brand that I like is Tweezerman. I feel like they stand behind their brand. They're not quite as pointy, so you have less risk of stabbing yourself. So you see the difference in this one? It just doesn't have that same edge. But they're both Tweezerman, and what I like about Tweezerman is if you dent them, if you drop them, whatever happens, they're not as sharp as they used to be. You send them in and they will send them back to you perfectly sharpened, or they give you a new pair. So we talked about the sweet almond oil, or you could use almost any oil you want. You can't use essential oil, so just don't even think about that. But I don't like to recommend mineral oil, but that would probably work fine. Like a baby oil, I don't really like that, but you could use olive oil in a pinch for sure. You could use jojoba oil, sweet almond, and soybean oil. Then you want to get that Goo Gone stuff I was talking about. This one's my professional. We have in the studio a pre-wax spray, but I think that if you could skip that altogether if you felt like it. But if you wanted to use something pre-wax, maybe the least expensive product would be witch hazel. Like you could just either put witch hazel on a cotton pad or put it into a sprayer bottle and just spritz your skin with that, and that would be kind of a nice soothing, cleansing pre-wax. And then I have my cornstarch powder in here, so it looks like a little sugar sifter, so you just use a little bit of cornstarch. It says on the container cornstarch baby powder, but I don't recommend baby powder. Anything with talcum, anything like that is not good, because you're like inhaling it, like your body reacts to it like it would asbestos. I don't want to recommend that. So cornstarch is different, and it feels really good on the skin. It's nice and kind of cooling, and it allows you to see where you're waxing, because it kind of gets stuck in the hair a little bit, and then you can see which direction your hair is growing. I think we're good. So I will make a video where I wax one of my legs. Hope that that works out. I probably shouldn't jinx it by saying that. I will do my best to show you how to wax your leg. Anyway, join me on my channel. I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook, everything that you could think of. And I love doing these videos, and I get the inspiration from all of my clients and people writing in, so feel free to ask me anything. I do have a blog. It's called thefreckle.blog instead of .com.blog, and that has so many topics. I've been writing that for over 4 years now, and so you can just type in the search bar hyperpigmentation or ingrown hairs or what to do about pimples, and you'll see everything that I've written about it. I also write it with a doctor, an unnamed doctor, but he has really helped me with the fact checking, because I don't like to put anything out there that's not checked. So anyway, again, Shelley from Shelley Skincare, and I thank you so much for your time. Ciao!